Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we take your sources, slice them up, and serve you the most potent knowledge. Today we are diving into something that is, well, it's incredibly common, but we just don't talk about it. And when it happens, it feels just profoundly alarming.
Oh, yeah. You know that feeling. You're trying to focus. Maybe you just got into bed or you're stuck in traffic on the freeway and your body sends this immediate non-negotiable signal.
It's not, I should probably go soon.
No, it's I have to go right now. This is an emergency.
And that flash of uncontrollable physical urgency, whether it's bladder or bowel, it's terrifying. It's so sudden and intense.
Of course. And the natural response, I think, for everyone is to assume the worst.
Right. My plumbing is failing. Maybe it's my age. Maybe it's a serious nerve problem.
It's a logical assumption. You blame the pipes when the pressure feels that fierce. But here is the massive and frankly surprising insight our research turned up.
Okay.
In the vast majority of cases where this intense urgency strikes seemingly out of nowhere, the source material says it is not a plumbing problem at all.
Wow. Okay, so that completely reframes the issue. It's not a mechanical failure.
Exactly. It's a failure of the messaging system. The core discovery here is that this sudden demanding urgency is primarily a nervous system reflex that has been mistakenly dialed up way too high.
A reflex.
A learned reflex. So our mission in this deep dive is twofold. First, we'll unpack why the nervous system starts shouting like this. And second, we'll reveal the simple, actionable physical techniques from the sources to retrain that alarm signal.
So instead of trying to fix a leaky valve, we're going to adjust the sensitivity on the alarm clock.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, so let's start there. Why is the nervous system, which usually handles all this stuff so smoothly, suddenly being so dramatic about a normal bodily function?
We have to start with the basics of what's in control. The functions of the bladder and the bowels, they're governed by the autonomic nervous system, the ANS.
Right, the body's automatic pilot.
Perfect. It manages everything you don't consciously think about, keeping your heart pumping, lungs breathing, digestion moving, all of it.
And the ANS has those two famous modes, doesn't it? The rest and digest side, which is safety, and then the infamous fight or flight side.
Precisely. And the sources make a really strong case that modern life just pushes us into and then locks us into that high alert fight or flight mode.
A state that was designed to help us outrun a tiger.
Exactly. And it's completely unsuited for, chronic workplace stress or an inbox that never ends.
So we're not running from a tiger, but our internal systems are acting like we are. What are some of the specific lifestyle factors the sources pointed to that keep that emergency light on?
Well, it's a mix of things. External pressures, internal habits, chronic stress and anxiety are obviously at the top of the list.
Sure.
But also things like poor quality sleep, living in a constant rush, a high caffeine intake, dehydration, even just sitting still for too long can signal to the brain that things aren't quite right.
I'm trying to follow that logic.
Yeah.
So if the brain is getting these constant low-level signals that the environment is unsafe, how does that translate into sudden bladder urgency?
It's all about hypervigilance. That sustained emergency state, that constant stress, it causes the brain to dramatically lower the threshold for emergency signals.
Okay, what does that mean?
Think of it like turning the sensitivity knob on a smoke detector all the way up.
So now even the steam from the shower sets it off.
Exactly. A normal internal insensate, like a gentle notification of filling in the bladder or the gut, which should just be a quiet thought, it gets completely misread as danger.
I see.
The brain fires the full urgency signal way too early, long before it's physically necessary.
That makes so much sense. That explains why it doesn't build gradually, it just hits you like a brick wall.
Yes.
It's not that the physical content suddenly arrived, it's that the internal alarm system suddenly screamed.
The body is just defaulting to maximum volume because it's expecting a crisis. It's reacting to a totally normal stimulus as if it were a critical danger.
Okay, let's talk about what happens physically when that false alarm fires. Because regardless of the cause, the feeling is undeniably real.
Oh, it is. It feels like an emergency because the body is executing its emergency protocols.
So what does that look like?
The sources detail this chain reaction. When that panic signal fires, the muscles automatically tighten up, especially those pelvic floor muscles. This rapid tightening instantly increases pressure in the pelvis, and that intense, sudden pressure is what screams at your conscious mind, "Go!" immediately.
That automatic clench, that's the physical part of the panic.
It is, and this leads us directly to the key mistake almost everyone makes when the urgency hits. They feel the panic and the pressure, and their instinct is to fight it.
Right. You clench harder, you try to apply maximum control, you tense your shoulders, hold your breath.
Or you rush frantically to the restroom.
That desperate head-down power walk, I think we've all done that, just clamping down and trying to mentally force the sensation away.
And that panic, that force, is completely counterproductive. By fighting it, by clenching and rushing, you are sending a powerful, unambiguous confirmation signal right back to your brain.
You're validating the alarm.
You are telling the brain that the sensation it just reported is, in fact, an emergency.
So the body yells, we panic and clench, and our brain goes, good job, that was absolutely a 5-alarm fire, let's do that again next time.
It amplifies the signal. It makes the urgency cycle louder and tighter every single time. And this is the core insight here. The body does not need more force. It doesn't need more control.
That's like trying to fix a software bug by hitting the computer.
Exactly. What the system actually needs is a clear, undeniable signal of safety at the nervous system level. We need to press the cancel alarm button, not the panic button.
Okay, that's a theoretical shift. Let's get to the practical, actionable part. If we need to send a safety signal, how do we use simple physical moves to interrupt that panic loop?
This is where we get to the two concrete techniques from the sources. They are simple biomechanical interventions that let you kind of hijack that feedback loop.
And they work best together.
Yes, in tandem. Let's start with technique 1. This focuses on the breath and the master regulator, the vagus nerve. The sources call this the breathing reset.
Okay, let's walk through the steps slowly so you can visualize this.
Yeah.
It involves the hands and the breath. First, you place one hand just below your collarbone, right in the center of your upper sternum.
Your breastbone, yeah.
Mhm.
And the second hand just rests gently on your lower abdomen.
Good.
The intention here is key. Now, you take a slow, deep breath in through your nose. Let your abdomen fill first. Hold it for just a second.
And the magic is in the exhale.
The magic is absolutely in the exhale. As you breathe out slowly through your mouth, and I mean slowly, make it last as long as you possibly can, you do something specific with your top hand.
What's that?
You gently press that hand inwards and just slightly downwards on your sternum. The hand on your belly just follows the natural movement as your core relaxes.
So it's that precise combination,
Yeah.
the long exhale with that gentle downward pressure. Why is that so powerful?
Because you are directly stimulating both the vagus nerve branches that run through your chest and also the baroreceptors.
For listeners who haven't heard of baroreceptors, what are they in simple terms?
They're essentially tiny blood pressure monitors built into your arteries and your chest. So when you use that long, slow exhale combined with the pressure, you are telling these monitors, hey, blood pressure is steady, breathing is slow, there is zero threat here.
It's the universal sign of safety to the nervous system. You're not just meditating. You're forcing a physiological shift.
You are. You're telling the brainstem immediately that there is no emergency. It forces the ANS to shift from fight or flight back to rest and digest.
And that moves the bladder and bowels out of that hyper-responsive emptying mode and back into storage mode.
Right. It buys you valuable time and it calms the urgency. The sources suggest repeating this up to 5 times when that feeling hits.
Okay, now for the second technique. This one is designed to physically release the pressure that built up from that initial muscle clenching.
Yes, this is the movement focus part. It's called the soleus muscle activation. So if possible, you need to stand up.
Even if it's just from your chair in a meeting.
You can do it pretty discreetly. The action is simple. You just slowly lift your heels off the ground, raising your whole body up, and then you lower back down. It's a calf raise.
Just a calf raise.
It's a calf raise, but with intention. You repeat this about 15 times. And if you can maintain your balance, try to hold the lift at the top for about 10 seconds.
So why this specific muscle? Why does lifting my heels suddenly calm pelvic urgency?
This action specifically activates the soleus muscle. That's the deep, flat muscle underneath your main calf muscle. It's often called the second heart.
The second heart.
Yeah. Because it's so far from the actual heart, its job is to powerfully pump deoxygenated blood back up to your core.
So when we activate the soleus, we're literally generating a pump.
Correct. When you contract that muscle, it works to actively pump blood and all that associated pressure out of the pelvis and abdomen. It physically clears the congestion.
And the rhythm of the movement probably helps ground the nervous system, too.
It absolutely does. So the two techniques together, the vagus reset calms the mind, the soleus activation clears the physical pressure, they offer a complete countersignal to that false alarm.
Which leads us perfectly into the long-term strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think this is where the lasting confidence comes from. It's not enough to just use these tools when the alarm is already blaring.
You're exactly right. We have to remember that urgency is a learned reflex. Your system learned that if it screams, you react instantly. If you only use these techniques when you're panicked, you're still reinforcing the idea that the signal is a crisis.
We need to interrupt that learning cycle entirely.
And the source material gives a really brilliant 3-part strategy for applying these calming techniques to teach the body a new default setting.
Okay, what's the first part?
The first is simple. During, when that sudden right now feeling shows up, you use the vagus reset and the soleus activation to manage the immediate crisis.
Makes sense. The second one is proactive, which sounds really effective before.
This is where you really start to gain control. You use these calming moves preemptively before situations where urgency usually shows up for you.
So you think about your personal triggers. Before bed, before a long drive, before a big meeting.
Or, and this is a critical one, before you settle in for a long period of sitting, you're telling your brain it's safe now before the stressful situation can even get a foothold.
And the third way, the one that really rewires things, is daily maintenance.
Yes. Once a day, every single day, even when you are feeling perfectly fine and calm.
That daily practice is like taking your nervous system to the gym.
That's it. You're consistently activating that parasympathetic mode and confirming safety when there is zero danger. You are literally rewriting the neurological pathway that governs this reflex.
So when you commit to this daily retraining, you stop waiting for your body to scream. Instead, you're consistently teaching it when it's calm.
And the results are profound. The urgency starts to fade because the system learns that the volume knob can be turned down. Confidence returns because your body relearns that it doesn't have to shout at you to protect you.
The urgency was a protective mechanism, just a poorly calibrated one.
A maladapted one, exactly.
This is such an empowering way to look at it. Instead of seeing yourself as broken or deficient, you realize your system has just been stuck in emergency mode for too long.
And the power of the solution is its simplicity. It's about providing a clear signal of safety to the brain, not trying to achieve control through tension and panic.
So what's the big takeaway for you from all this? The realization that this pervasive, alarming issue can be managed with 2 simple, self-directed physical moves is a massive relief.
The central point is that you are not a helpless victim of your stress response. You have direct tools to modulate your autonomic nervous system and adjust your body's internal state. No medication, no complex procedures.
I think the final provocative thought from the source material really puts this all into a bigger perspective. If the body was screaming urgency because it felt the desperate need to protect you from what it saw as danger, well, that opens up a much bigger consideration for you, the listener.
Think about this. What other chronic, nagging physical symptoms in your life, maybe it's headaches, jaw clenching, chronic tension, unexplained anxiety, might also be your system just shouting for safety because it's stuck on high alert?
And what happens when you start applying the same principle, not just to bladder or bowel urgency, but to all those shouts? What happens when you consistently start training your system to be calm, instead of just waiting for it to scream.
That's something to mull on long after this deep dive ends. We hope these insights serve you well and provide a real path forward.
We'll see you on the next Deep Dive.